What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Focus TV, man.
The Adventures of the Focus.
Man, hey, look, right? The Adventures. Man, I'm glad we don't have any, behind the scenes type stuff going on, man. Cause, epic. That's all I can say.
Comedy.
It would be epic right now.
Comedy.
Life is good. Life is fun all the time. But some of these stuff is happening in sports. We are here as always to talk about just that. We have Octavia Wyatt, Cardell and Wilson Jr. But we're gonna get started tonight. Hey, college basketball's back. We've been telling y'all college basketball's back.
Got here so fast,
So,
man.
if you're on social media, on that good old Twitter machine, that's all you should see this evening. Cause Cardell, you spent some time already with GW men's, GW women's. You can talk about that a little bit. What I saw today in College Park.
Okay, GW, they beat Hood pretty good the other night. It was my first time seeing them. I wanted to see them in action, I don't really do hype and all this write-up stuff. We'll see when the lights come on. And there was some promising performances, specifically from a freshman guard, Jameer Nelson Jr. Yes, the son of Jameer Nelson, played at St. Joe's and with the Orlando Magic and a few other teams in the league for years. His son is nice. He's been well coached, obviously taught the game well. He's a little bit bigger than his father and more athletic. He caught lobs. He hit three-pointers. Contested, non-contested. Ran the show pretty well. Could defend. He was a bright spot. Happy to see Arnaldo Toro back. He stepped out. He got injured last year. Injured his hip, had to get hip surgery, so he was out for. He only played 7 games last year, and they missed him dearly. But he's back. He's pretty much a walking double-double. Traditional big man, love to rebound, bang in the post, but can score a little bit too. So, and is a great and is a good defender, so he can anchor in the inside. The leading returning scorer from last year, Maceo Jack, one of the best three-point shooting guards in the A-10, was the best on the team. He's back as a junior. I think he's ready to take the next leap, possibly try to be all conference this year. It was just, I like what I saw from Mezzi Offerum, sophomore big. Last year he struggled, he was up and down. But I think this year, under Christian, I think he with the experience he has, I think he's ready to kind of make a consistent impact. That's the thing with young players, especially at the collegiate level. Can they be consistent? Obviously they had talent, otherwise they wouldn't be there. But can you put it together and be consistent game in, be count on game in, game out to play to your max, and that's the thing with him, and that's what it is. So I like what I saw from Hood, and for those that don't know, Hood is a top level D3 school, D3 program. They out there in Frederick, Maryland. They're ranked first in their preseason conference, so definitely check them out as well throughout the season. Right now, GW is playing at Towson. They open the season tonight on the road at Towson. Currently, they're down 37-29 with 16:28 left in the game. Jameer Nelson, as I just spoke, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 of 7 shooting. He's already putting in work. Toro with 6 points, 5 rebounds. They need a backcourt to get going. Maceo Jack and Missoula, they're both a combined 2 for 8 right now. They need to get going. Meanwhile, on Towson side, their starters are clicking on all cylinders, being very efficient, led by Allen Betrain, sophomore guard. He has 14 points and 3 rebounds, so 6 of 11 shooting. And also, you got Jawan Gray off the bench, junior guard, 8 points. Junior forward, my fault. 8 points off of 3 or 4 shooting, 3 rebounds right now. So, GW have to figure out something. I know it's tough. They're not really shooting the ball well. They're shooting 40% from the field. Towson is shooting 48% from the field. GW is not shooting well from 3, 23% currently. Towson is shooting 40% from 3. It's just coming down right now to shots. Right now, GW's out rebounding them, and assists is pretty much close, but turnovers and giving them extra chances to shoot, and obviously defensively, they're getting beat right now. So they have to turn those things up and turn those around very quickly. Otherwise, it will be a 0-1 start.
All right. As far as the Maryland women's, earlier today, they officially opened their season. They had a couple exhibitions, but today was the official first game of the season. They hosted Wagner. One of their freshman players, Alice Cohen, she's the younger sister of Aunt Cohen of Maryland on the men's side. All right, so she had 25 points and 5 rebounds against the Terps. Had 8 turnovers, but she wasn't the only one turning the ball over for Wagner today. They were pressuring the 30 turnovers against Maryland. And we know one of the things with Maryland, their mantra: defend, rebound, and run. You turn the ball over 30 times against Maryland, they're going to be doing a whole lot of running. The biggest thing from today, Maryland did what they're supposed to do. You're ranked top. They were ranked number 4 in the preseason AP poll. As the 4th ranked team in the country, you're supposed to handle business. And again, they did just that. With Ashley Owusu, I know Cardell, you've been telling me for a couple of years about her.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wasn't too shocked, after watching some of the exhibition games. But, even though it's against Wagner, 31 minutes, no turnovers as a freshman point guard, not going to just leave that out. 31 minutes, primary ball handler, 0 turnovers. She gives them a dimension they haven't had since one Destiny Slocum. She does it a little bit differently off the bounce. Her in and out is crazy. Half court is already almost patented. It's that easy. And one of the things I like, Brenda's talked about at the beginning of the year, just she doesn't care about the age. She literally means the age is just a number.
They play too much big time basketball coming out, man.
And that's what she's been saying about this freshman class is the type of games they've played in as a group. They're not phased. And I was talking with a colleague earlier, and one of the things, I've yet to see them, just drop their shoulders or just simple little freshman thing. And I'm just going to accept that it's not going to happen. At times you have some of the freshmen holding the seniors and juniors accountable, on the defensive end, which, again, it's just Wagner, but that's a welcome sight for any team. If that's what your program's like, that group is that comfortable coming in, ready to be accountable. And, we talk a lot about this generation and the type of players that come out of it. It's refreshing. It's such an old school vibe to this freshman class. And it's something where I'm anxious to see how it goes and how they grow this year going forward. They do have a big test coming up on Sunday. They host 8th ranked South Carolina. Furniture should be moving in that one. Looking forward to that one. I think it's at 3 p.m. at Xfinity Center. On Sunday, we shall be there. But yeah, man, it was just, they handled their business.
Also, GW Women's open their season tomorrow on the road at Villanova, 7 p.m. Tune in for that. And I want to send a congrats out to Washington Venice coach Patrick Curry. They knocked off Howard earlier tonight. They just got done. To beat them 71-68. Obviously, in a lot of folks' minds, you know how people just go off labels and stereotypes or whatnot. A lot of people around here don't look highly on NAIA basketball. It's either, well, hell, honestly, if it ain't D1, they just think whatever, you know what I'm saying? And that's not the case. People who play, obviously D1 has a deeper talent pool for obvious reasons, but that does not mean it's not talent at the other levels, and he proved that today. I've always been on record saying he's one of the best collegiate coaches in the area, regardless of the level. There's so many times I'm at games, covering games, scouting games, and I just see him with his son walk across the court, dab me up, and he's there. I'm like, damn, you everywhere. So he's there putting in work, X's and O's, and the most important thing is, he rides with his players. Even when they're done, he's still trying to help them, whether it's try to be a pro or if basketball's over, get in the career field, whatever they're trying to do, he just don't leave you hanging. So, I'm happy to see guys like that on the coaching ranks win because there's a lot of, vultures out here. They just use you for what you can bring to the program. Then when your time is up, bye. You know what I'm saying? And that's just foul. But, seriously, that's a big win for NAIA as a whole, but definitely for his program. So now when he steps in homes and recruits players, they have to listen because he said, we're on par with Division I programs because we just beat one at their building. So, congrats to him and that team, man. So I'm going to definitely, obviously, every year I go check them out. And I'm going to definitely have some content coming from them very soon.
Yeah, congrats are definitely in order. That's one way to start the season, right?
For sure.
Set the tone. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Cardell and Octavia were in College Park this weekend for Maryland's matchup with Michigan.
If you want to call it that.
Look, I'm going to let y'all talk about that. I wasn't there, so I don't have much to add. But you're watching the Focus TV. We'll be right back. You really don't have to laugh like that.
I'm sorry.
Welcome back to the Focus TV. All right, Maryland football segment is here. They fell to Michigan 38-7. Octavia and Cardell were there in College Park. So, the floor is yours. Whoever wants to start with your thoughts from this game.
So the score does say 38-7. It was not that close at all. Maryland's 7 points came off a kick return. It was a beautiful kick return. I believe it was league. I can't even remember. Doesn't really matter at this point.
From Michigan.
No, Michigan, it was Giles Jackson because it was an opening. So
first kick.
Very first play of the game, Giles Jackson from Michigan ran it 97 yards back. Maryland did get them back in the second half, and I believe it was a 97-yard as well. I believed it was Leak. I just can't think of it. It was Leak. Yeah, Leak, got them back. But that was Maryland's only score. There was no offensive score. There was no defensive score. It was only on special teams. Just a couple of stat lines. Josh Jackson was 9 for 20, 97 yards for 1 interception. McFarland had 14 carries, 60 yards, 1 reception for 9 yards. Leak had 9 carries, 38 yards, 1 touchdown on the return. Fleet Davis, 7 carries, 21 yards, 1 reception for 7 yards. Brian Cobbs had 4 receptions for 52 yards. It just wasn't clicking. You could see the difference in skill between the teams. Maryland had a couple of good runs, series, but Josh Jackson was getting hit every other play. Defense was they had a lot of penalties on the offensive side. It was hard to watch them get destroyed like that, honestly. You could even see it in Loxley's face when they showed him every now and then on the screen. In the press box, they have the game showing actually on ESPN as well. So to see he just looked like, what is going on? Which I don't blame him because it was bad. They tried to get the running game started. I felt like they focused on that more than the passing game, honestly, and they were trying. And they had a couple of good ones. McFarland, Leak, and Fleet Davis did most of the work on the ground. Cobbs had one really nice grab, but outside of that, it wasn't really much. They had a lot of offensive penalties, especially on the offensive line. It was just bad all around.
And to just piggyback off what Octavia said, the thing that kind of frustrated me for most of the first half, they all had opportunities to try to close that gap. They got into the red zone like they were moving the ball.
Yeah, and then
but turnovers.
threw it away at the end.
After it was 14-0 Michigan after Zach Charbonnet rushed in for a score. Maryland, after moving the ball on their first 3 possessions to the red zone, came away with an interception when Josh Jackson got hit. And as he was throwing, he went up in there and Michigan intercepted the ball. The next drive, 12-play drive, they missed the field goal. And then the next drive was a 3-and-out possession. And it was ball game after that. They was deflated. The reason why Loxley looked helpless because on top of, what he has to work with is so many injuries. Like, it's literally key positions, especially like at running back, first, second, third string are out. Wide receiver, first and second string out. And across the board, their DBs were already kind of weak at that full strength. A couple of those guys out. Like, across the board, they're out. And so you literally are playing Michigan with third-string guys on both sides of the ball, special teams. It ain't going to go well, man. You know what I'm saying? You got guys in Michigan that are getting ready for the pros. It's as simple as
and
that.
The pros were in the building.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, especially the 49ers, right?
I saw 49ers, Giants, Redskins, and 49ers, Giants, Redskins, and I want to say the Raiders. No, I'm sorry, Pittsburgh. Because I'm sorry, I'm out of the loop. I did not know Mike Tomlin's son played for Maryland.
God dang.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver.
God dang.
Dino Tomlin. The lady sitting next to me, she was the one to school me. I was like, dang, I had no clue.
You know who also had no clue?
Anybody else? What?
So the Eagles weren't there scouting either. Huh?
We didn't miss anything. Nothing that we couldn't see on TV.
Lord Jesus. The pettiness continues.
Okay.
But Michigan was 7 of 15 on third downs. Maryland was 4 of 16. hard to win like that.
Yeah.
Maryland streak of forcing a turnover in 20 straight games was snapped. It was the longest current run in the FBS and 6 short of the school record. Maryland hits the road to face number 3 Ohio State next. Oh man, Big
Ohio
Ten life,
State.
baby. Big Ten life, man. So that's how it is, man.
This is
Michigan ruined their homecoming.
But this is part of it though. Like this is part of when you take over something and
It don't always
build
work
it up.
right.
you guys.
And they ain't even building it. Look, we don't even quite know. When there's so many injuries like this, man, we don't even know about his coaching ability.
That's
he
true.
didn't count on these. They were beat out for a reason. You know what I'm saying? By the guys that are hurt. They were beat out in preseason and all that. So we got to get the date for one. They got to figure out why some of the guys are dropping. Matter of fact, guys dropped in this game. Every game we've been to.
There was a lot of injuries in this game as well.
They about to. Loxley might have to suit up.
But that's a very good point. Like
Going out there.
You can't really get a good picture, a clear picture of what's happening on either side, or what's being implemented if, like you said, the guys who won the jobs literally aren't there to execute. But again, the road doesn't get any tougher. Ohio State's not a fun place to go right now. Whether you play
Not a fun team to play, period.
Right, no matter where you play.
Whether you're in Ohio or you at home.
Boy, it's not a good time. All right, but we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we're gonna get to this NFC East. See, I said East instead of the other word I was gonna use. Segment. You're watching Focus TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Focus TV, as promised, Octavia's NFC East segment.
I like how you say East.
I'm proud of myself for being mature.
There's
a wonderful letter people often put in front of y'all's division. So we're going.
Let's not do that today.
Not today.
Okay. NFC East. So this week 9, Redskins faced the Bills, and Redskins lost to the Bills 24-9. The Redskins' next game, they're on a bye. So this week, Dwayne Haskins got his first official career start. He ended up 15 of 22, 144 yards, 3 carries, 14 yards. Adrian Peterson, 18 carries, 108 yards. Paul Richardson had 4 receptions for 42 yards, and Terry McLaurin had 4 receptions for 39 yards. I will say this. It wasn't a terrible game. When you look at the score, you would think so. But the Redskins had opportunities. Once again, I just feel like they cannot put together a full game, and they just cannot get to where they need to get to be in the conversation of winning a game. Both teams did well against each other's defense. The Redskins were able to get to the red zone numerous of times, as well as the Bills. But the difference was the Bills was able to score touchdowns, and the Redskins were able to kick field goals. Dwayne Haskins, for his first official start, having full, work with the ones throughout the week, I think he did fine. His efficiency was much better. His accuracy was much better. I feel like he made better decisions. And I just feel like that's what they need to give him. Give him the first team reps. Let him get through the rest of the season. See if he's able to progress. And see if he's the quarterback that you guys are going to want next year. Or if you need to go ahead, like Wilson, just let me know. Start paying attention to, what's going on in college football so you can figure out who your quarterback's going to be next year. But it's the same old at this point. The Redskins are just kind of treading along right now. I feel like just trying to make it through the season without having too many catastrophic injuries at this point, as we know they've had over the past 2 seasons. So, it is what it is. The Bills came back, and I feel like they should have won the game, which they did. I feel like it shouldn't have been as close, just based off of the Bills. The games they played this year, they've been a lot better. So hopefully, the Redskins are able to turn it around. They have a week off, and they'll come back after that. Monday night game, we had 2 NFC East teams play against each other for a division game. The Giants versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys were victorious. Cowboys had 37, Giants had 18. The next game for the Giants is going to be against the Jets, and for the Cowboys will be Sunday night against the Vikings. Dak Prescott for the Cowboys was 22 of 35, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 carries for 12 yards. Ezekiel Elliott had 23 carries, 139 yards. Amari Cooper 4 receptions for 1 touchdown. Jarwin 1 reception, 42 yards, 1 touchdown, and Gallup 2 receptions, 33 yards for 1 touchdown. For the Giants, Daniel Jones was 26 of 41, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception with 6 carries and 54 yards. Saquon Barkley, 14 carries, 28 yards, 6 receptions for 67 yards. Evan Ingram had 6 receptions, 48 yards, 1 carry for 2 yards. And Golden Tate had 6 receptions, 42 yards, 1 carry for 16 yards. I feel like the Giants started off okay. It seemed like, okay, maybe it'll be a game. But I really attest that to just the Cowboys coming off of a bye. They're a little bit rusty. They started the game with a turnover. And to me, that should have been, a good sign for the Giants, getting a turnover, going down the field. But they were only able to come away with 3 instead of 7 or 6 on the extra point. And it kind of goes back to the same thing with the Redskins. They're just never able to put together a full game. And you can't miss out on opportunities like that when you're playing against the Cowboys at this point. I feel like the Cowboys were sloppy, starting off the game, but they ran the ball down their throats. Like I said, Ezekiel Elliott, 139 yards, and it was easy yards. He was going straight down the middle. It was just not fair, honestly. And then on the other side of the ball for them, their defense was stellar. DeMarcus Lawrence everywhere, all the time. And to hold Saquon Barkley to 68 yards rushing is a feat in itself, because we all have seen how special Saquon Barkley can be, and he just wasn't this night. Golden Tate, I still feel like, is emerging as their number 1. If he's not already solidified for their team, he should be. Evan Ingram, when he's healthy, he's good. But they just still need more time. And I feel like I sound like a broken record, because I feel like I say this every year about the Giants, and just waiting for them to actually do it or get players in there that are going to do it. For the Cowboys, the road doesn't get any easier. They play the Vikings coming up Sunday night, and we all have seen how special the Vikings have been lately. Kirk Cousins has been on one. Diggs, Thielen, all of them on the defensive side, Kendricks, all of them. it's going to be a good game. So it's going to be a good testament to see where the Cowboys are. And as I like to say every year, we're getting closer and closer to December. And I always feel like that's their struggle month. So this is the time for them to take advantage of still being in November, get those wins in. Hopefully hopefully for them, they're able to, hold it together in December and see how that shapes up. And lastly, the Eagles played the Bears this week, and my notes will come up.
Do you need notes for Mitchell Trubisky game again against
I just
Mitchell
need the
Trubisky?
stats, that's all. So the Bears and the Eagles played this week. The Eagles were victorious 22-14. Carson Wentz was 26 of 39, 1 touchdown, 4 carries for 15 yards. Jordan Howard, 19 carries, 82 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 reception for 1 yard. Zach Ertz had 9 receptions, 103 yards, and 1 touchdown. I want to start off by saying welcome back to Zach Ertz. I've been saying the last couple of weeks he has been missing in action, and he has finally reappeared. Not a second too late. 9 receptions, 103 yards, and 1 touchdown for us. He was back, and it was nice to see it. Also with Andre Dillard, who is taking the place of Jason Peters, who's injured as of now, who technically the word is that Dillard has been tapped to eventually replace the veteran Peters when he decides to go, which I feel like more than likely it would be after this year because he just can't stay on the field any longer. He gets injured every season, so his body may be telling him it's about that time. But I think he held his own, especially going right up against a lot of times Khalil Mack and being able to cover him and keep him from the quarterback was very, very good. And I think that he held his own in there, and I think he'll only get better as time goes on. But even though they won the game, it was still a sloppy win, 22-14. The Bears did kind of mount a comeback in the second half, but luckily they were able to hold them off. Yeah, I just feel like, I just really am keen on the fact that Ertz has finally decided to come back, because especially with now officially Deshaun Jackson being on injured reserve, which he should have been on 5 weeks ago. He will finally have surgery on his abdomen. I believe they're saying he has some type of hernia there, and he'll be on injured reserve. There is a very, 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 very slight chance that he will return this year. I'm just going to go ahead and say no, they should just shut him down. They've already signed him, and try again next year, see if he's able to go. But I think it's all starting to fall into place. They're starting to hit their stride. I am slightly concerned because this week they will be going into a bye. And I just feel like with them finally hitting their stride and now being off a week, like we just saw with Dallas coming off of a bye, it could get a little bit rusty when they come back, and it's not any easier that when they come back it'll be against the Patriots, who have suffered their first loss, although the Patriots will play this week. But it's not good, and it doesn't get any easier, as the season goes on. They still play the Seahawks. They also play. We still have 3 divisional games. We haven't even played the Giants yet, so it's still very, very close atop the NFC East between the Cowboys and the Eagles, and hopefully this bye will be productive and not counterproductive at this point.
All right. So I guess for you, how do you feel about your offense? How it changes? We've seen it struggled a little bit having Deshaun gone. Because one of the things Carson loves is hitting that deep ball. It really opens things up.
Yeah.
And without that, for opposing defenses now, with that not really being, not to knock the other folks there, but Deshaun was the only guy that could really stretch it vertically. Like that.
Yeah.
Are you concerned with how? Do you think the offense is going to be able to work around that? Because that's a huge piece to lose.
It is. I think they will be, just because we've had to this long so far. We haven't had Deshaun since, I believe, week 2. And I think that what they're doing is what they should be doing, is leaning heavily on the run game, which I feel like they are. I feel like Sanders is coming into his own. He's showing that he's not just a rushing threat, but he can also be a receiver. And I think that they're finally starting to put more faith in Jordan Howard. I mean, you went out and you traded for him, you got him there. I feel like you should be giving him the ball more, which I feel like gradually each week they are doing. He had 19 carries this week. And I just want them eventually just to let one running back just go off.
Right.
That's how I feel. I mean, there hasn't been a Eagle running back who has had more than 100 yards rushing and who knows how long. And that's it's not saying that they can't, but it's because over the past couple of years we've had so many running back by committee that they're sharing it all amongst 2 to 3 running backs, where no running back is ever really able to get into a complete groove and just run the entire game. But I feel like they're trying to work it out. It's obvious that it's going to be between Howard and Sanders at this point, but I feel like Howard is more of a downfield runner and getting you those hard fought yards, and I feel like Sanders is a little bit more shifty and he can do a little bit more with receiving. So I think it's a good mix, and I think that they definitely have to, lean heavily more on the run game without the deep ball, because even before Deshaun was there, we didn't really have a solidified deep threat. Once they let go of Matthews, because Jordan Matthews was that deep threat. I wouldn't even be opposed to bringing him back in just for the time being. He knows the playbook. We've already lost out on the pick by, trading him away. He was, I believe, released by the 49ers. Mm-hmm. So might as well bring him back in at this point. The rookie, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, has been nowhere. Mac Hollins hasn't really stepped up as well. And Nelson Aguilar was trying to fill in that deep ball spot, and it hasn't really been working. So that's why I say, we want Carson to be able to open it up completely. And at this point, he doesn't have the tools to do so right now. So we got to lean heavily on the run game. And that's why I was so adamant about Zach Ertz being missing in action. Like, if we're not able to hit the deep ball and they know that, we got to make adjustments somewhere. So hopefully they're able to get it together. Maybe this bye week they'll have some time to do some extra work, hopefully, and see how it all works out.
All right. So we were pretty much, was it week 10?
Yeah.
It's not too early to be talking about, MVPs, at least the candidates.
Of course not.
So we go around and share some names. I got a list of names. I think one name that's going to be on everyone's list is one Russell Wilson.
Yes, sir.
But outside of Russ, I guess who are some other folks that you feel are candidates for you guys personally?
You got to look at Lamar.
Yep,
Lamar
that's
Jackson.
exactly what I was going to say.
You got to look at McCaffrey from Carolina.
Yep.
I was saying Mahomes before he got injured. He was in that mix. You talking about MVP though? That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, some names they throw out: Watson, Deshaun Watson. Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. But I mean, I do feel like Russell is kind of not running away with it, but he's making a great case for it, and so is Lamar. Especially coming off of all the comments of running back, can he actually throw? He's doing it all. He's still running, but he's throwing the ball as well. So I definitely think he's a good candidate as well.
All right, so for Russell Wilson, I think everybody is kind of in agreement here.
That's he's been special this year.
That's the number one candidate in the league. I feel like that's very easy to say. 7-2 this year, 2,505 yards already, 68.3 completion percentage, 22 touchdowns, just 1 interception.
I mean, that says a lot.
And despite all that, everyone with the label of, when you look like that, you're supposed to be a running quarterback. Only 203 rushing yards on the year, and 3 touchdowns. But you guys also mentioned Lamar. So with Lamar, it was fun watching Sunday night what happened. And then it was just sad also watching Chris Collinsworth find a way to talk about everything but what a special young man was doing.
They always do.
That night. And it was sad, but this is what Lamar was doing, because a lot of people like to talk about everything except, a lot of people like to use numbers except when it, throws out their case to not like something.
They don't fit in there.
Right. So let's use numbers, because everyone loves numbers. So Lamar has led the Ravens' 6-2 record, 1,813 passing yards, 64.3 completion percentage. It's solid. 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. On the ground, 637 rushing yards, and throwing another 5 touchdowns. Biggest thing with Lamar for me is, I see the completion percentage, and I'm sure people would love to talk about it. The reason I don't mind it as much is he moves the chains on third down, and that's all I really care about. A lot of people have this thing where you got to put up big numbers and all this other stuff. Your object is to win the game. If you can continue to for an offense, to stay ahead of schedule all the time or stay on schedule, you want to be third and manageable. How hard is it for a defense if Baltimore's routinely in third and manageable, and you have to deal with that part of it?
Listen, man, Bill Russell's son looking at a player perfectly. He said it's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And he's maximizing what he has. Now, just because he has more than what you're accustomed to seeing from that position doesn't mean he's any less effective, man. And I just get sick and tired of that label. That's why I kind of just root for any black quarterback coming in the league and NFL and just kill, because they need to just kill that stereotype. Either you can get results, which means W's, or you can't. And the 6-2 record right now shows he's getting results. They're winning. You see the team behind him. You see proven veterans get behind him. Like, we're following you, the leaders. You know what I'm saying? Willingly. And these are all pro, or Earl Thomas, one of bold, all accomplished vets, man. You know what I'm saying? They get behind a second-year quarterback, a youngin. So that tells you all you need to know, and he's handling it well. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That no off-field stupid stuff, man. He just coming up and come to work.
Even with the
get
criticisms he's faced, yep.
Yeah, he don't fire back. He just like, we'll see when the game comes. And he's letting his actions do all the talking, which is what you're supposed to do. It hurts. Because everybody know I wanted him to go to my Broncos.
This whole list is about to hurt you.
Every time I see him, I'm just hurt, because I was like, you got to get Lamar. I was emphatic. I wasn't looking at nobody else. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. And he fell to the second round. And oh, man.
Let's just move on.
I'm sorry, because we're going to be rehashing. We're going to do that.
And he's in the conference, so we got to deal with him for the next 10, 15 years. He stayed healthy, and he's in the way.
Since the wound has already been torn open, don't close it up yet. Deshaun Watson, we've been talking about him playing without offensive line since he's been in Houston, right? Yep. They got Laramie Tunsil, but that's not 5 people, okay? Mm-hmm. Laramie's only 1. Still, 6-3 record. Clowney moved on from that team. J.J. Watt is hurt yet again. He's been going through it physically. But, you're unfortunately, not nice to say, but, you can kind of count on him not making it through the year. That's what it's been for the Texans. It's unfortunate for JJ, but it's always just a matter of time. It's a matter of when, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, without that, with that happening, 2,432 passing yards, 70% completion percentage. All right, 70. 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 279 rushing yards, and 5 touchdowns. The reason I'm going out my way to show these, to mention the numbers tonight, because people love numbers except when it's time to bring up numbers. Those 2 gentlemen, the 3 that we just mentioned thus far, there's a reason you're able to do that, because defenses don't have an answer for this. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, hey, you're only running. The only one that's over 300 yards that we mentioned so far on the ground is Lamar. Again, 70%. If this was somebody else completing, you imagine what it would sound like if Mitchell Trubisky completed 70% of his passes?
You never had the end of it.
I'm sorry to keep picking on Mitchell, but this is where we're at, because you got drafted over some of these dudes for no good reason at all. There's a certain someone in Cleveland, 70% of the passes. All right, so Pat Mahomes. I know Kansas City's done a solid job of staying alive with him gone, but the pace that he was on before he went down, his team's 6-3, but 2,180 yards in the air, 65% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception. Building off last year. Cardell, you brought up Christian McCaffrey. A lot of people have. We already know what the Panthers been going through without Cam. I'm not getting into the Kyle Allen thing. It's laughable to me. But Christian McCaffrey, 881 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, 363 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. He's getting it done every way possible. Yeah. Yards from scrimmage every week is great. And the next person I'm going to bring up is a name that doesn't get any credit when people talk about Minnesota in the least bit. I think one of the biggest reasons Minnesota's been solid this year is the Dalvin Cook's healthy.
Yep.
And
they need to talk about Dalvin Cook.
And so you heard McCaffrey's numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's 881 and 363. 881 on the ground, 363 in the air. Dalvin Cook, his team is 6-3. 1 win more than Christian McCaffrey's. Dalvin has 894 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns, 338 receiving yards. He just doesn't have any touch. I don't think he scored yet in the air. But and then the last thing I wanted to bring, defense never gets shout out in these conversations because who cares about defense nowadays until you need it?
Score points.
The Patriots, Jamie Collins. Remember he was on the Patriots early on, did the anti-Patriot thing, wanted to go get some bread, didn't work out, came back.
Hey, I miss you guys.
Hey, winning is fun. I like winning. But this year, quietly, or not so quiet, 38 tackles, 6 sacks, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, and 2 forced fumbles.
Yikes.
You know, those are the type of things, and I don't think Jamie's going to win. But I feel like it was fair to bring up, you know, on arguably one of the, you know, arguably the best defense in the league. You know, there's a reason that defense is doing what they're doing. Want to give this guy credit because he was there to begin with, and it's one thing to leave and then come back. It's another thing to ball out when he's done that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we'd love to hear you guys. Who you guys have as your MVP candidates? Go ahead and tweet us at the Focus TV. Please do it. It's on IG, what have you. But yeah, man. Cardell, before we get into rapid fire, talk about the event tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow I've been invited to Slam Dunk to the Beach out in Delaware, and they're presenting the team, the field that will play in it when it takes place December 27th to the 29th out in Cape Henlopen High School in Delaware. So every year it's one of the most prestigious high school showcase events during the season there's around and has been. The alumni is ridiculous. Kevin Durant, LeBron, Melo, JJ Redick. I mean, I can go on and on about the teams the players that came through in the teams. I mean, heavyweight. So I'm enthusiastic about going out there to see what it is. You know, they've always been great to me. When we were in high school, that was just one of the tournaments you try to get to, but you had to be nice. You know, it's just as simple as that. You know, but then they went away. Then they brought it back, like I say, about 5 or 6 years ago. I've been going ever since. And I missed last year, obviously, because we had so much stuff on with the Wizards, whatever. But I'll be there this year for sure. And they always had the next wave of top college and NBA players coming through. Like I saw Mo Bamba when he was a sophomore on Raw. You know, just real Raw. Cam Reddish, all of them, they was on the same team. And, you know, run a point like, yeah, that type of talent that's on hand. So, you know, it's going to be fun, man. You know, I love seeing the teams. You get to interview the coaches, kind of get a feel for what's coming, and just get ready to do what I do come December over 3 days, man. And it's nice because it's kind of close. It's not too far where you got to just go away for a minute. It's here, and, you know, kind of close to the area. And it's a good mix of national teams and national talent with local talent as well. So you get to see a lot of the local talent battle against the national talent. You know, people always screaming politics. I would love to play against them. Well, you get your chance.
Right.
So
That's
we're going to see.
Hey, nothing but space and opportunity. All right, so we got rapid fire as always before we get out of here. And we got time today for rapid fire. We got some time. So, Cardell, take your time. Let's go ahead and get through all these stressful questions.
We're going to start off with a real one.
Okay.
In a story from Craig Meyer at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, he highlighted the lack of black coaches in Division I basketball. Here are a couple of notes. Of the 75 programs in college basketball, 6 major conferences, only 18% have a black head coach. Across all of D1 men's basketball, including which is 353 schools, 29% of head coaches are black. If you remove HBCU schools, it's only 24%. So not even a quarter if you remove HBCU schools are black. It's not like the talent pool is bare for D1 basketball. 50% of assistant coaches are black. So they're there. They're just not getting opportunities. A quote from Ron Hunter, Tulane, head coach from Tulane, he said, more people need to understand this. It can't be that we can play the game and our assistants can recruit the game, but we can't ask head coaches at the highest level to coach the game. What are your thoughts on this situation?
I really like that quote because it makes complete sense. You know, if we're able to play at a high level with a high IQ, there's no reason why we are not able to share that with other people and be able to effectively have a successful program. I just think it goes back to just people being stuck in their ways, people not wanting to give people opportunities. And, you know, I hate to say it, but there's always politics involved in it somewhere. It's sad that that's a norm. I think it's a norm that something that it should be focused on, and we should be able to break this norm. Because, like you said, you take out the HBCUs where it's a black school, so it's not a stretch that they would have a black coach. But all of these other top tier Division I teams where your entire team is black, but we can't coach them as well. It seems kind of far-fetched to me that that's something that people really think is okay. But I still wouldn't want people to get a job just based off of that. Yeah. I think that's sometimes where the disconnect comes in between people, is that if we speak out about the lack of diversity in there, we're just trying to say, well, just give it to anybody black. And that's not what we're saying. We're saying is that don't overlook them because they're black. Don't not give them the opportunity because they're black. If they have a good track record, they show production, and you can see the promise in them, why not? So hopefully it's something that gets, dealt with over the course of however long it seems to take, because it's already taken too long at this point. But it's definitely a conversation that needs to be happening more often.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too much. What we were just talking about in that last segment with the quarterbacks. It's just something where people feel a certain way about that. Like, let's be honest, it's a leadership position, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why that conversation gets so, people feel so strongly about it with the quarterback position. It's fine. You don't have those discussions with any other position on the football field. But we hear routinely how important the quarterback position is, what it means to the team, what it means to a franchise, your image, and all these other things. Those type of things that are said about that aren't too much different than being a head coach of a program, mm-hmm. right? And again, this is not, and I'm on board with you and you, not to say that there's an excuse or anything like that, but this is that old way of thinking that needs to be, it needs to be dead, it needs to be shattered, and it's ridiculous. So if someone's good enough to do every part of your job but that one, it doesn't make sense, because if anything, it would make you a better candidate for that position because you did everything underneath it. Mm-hmm. Well, right? So where sometimes people get the head coaching job and don't always go up through the ranks, and then they struggle and they're gone, and you replace them with somebody similar. Like Octavia said at the beginning, just from pure logic, it doesn't make any sense. And we know the other reasons behind it. It just has to stop. It's ridiculous at this point.
And let's just keep it real. I mean, they catering to a certain audience.
Yep.
And it's hard to promote a program, get alumni on base, bring all these dollars in, when it's somebody that you can't relate to, or you choose not to relate to, you don't understand, and that's just, we go through it here. We fighting battles for no reason. It ain't about our work, because other national media outlets, they actually look at us and ask us for tips and stuff. You'd be surprised, man. They support us, they love us, but with some of these teams around here, they look at Oscar because they look at our vibe, and we look real brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? We ain't, hi, how you doing? We real. So they feel uncomfortable, and we don't cater to a certain audience. We just cater to the truth. Our job is to inform, so we take that serious, and that's what our whole basis is. So we go through it on a smaller scale with what we do, but it's just like you said, man. We can't be. We dominate basketball. It's not even no question. We've dominated throughout history. We can't teach the game. We can't coach the game. We can't X's and O's. We're not intelligent all of a sudden for that. Nah, that's just total BS. And like she said, right? Don't just give somebody an opportunity just because they're a name. No, yeah. They got to earn it. They got to be. Well, but don't tell me it's 50% of assistant coaches out of 353 schools, but it's only 14 in the major conferences, 14 head coaches. And it's high turnover year to year, trust me on this. But they're looking for certain type of coaches that look like them. It's the same way with the NFL and the quarterback situation, like you pointed out. And it's just, it's frustrating. Like we have 4 black coaches in this area, but the majors, university people know about. You got Kevin Broaders out on Morgan State. You got Blake Neaton at Howard, Big Pat at Georgetown, and then Jamie Christian just got hired at GW. He's at GW right now. Okay. 2 of those schools are HBCUs. So all these other schools around, Virginia, DC, Maryland, white head coaches, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, but you got to look at the discrepancy with they're not getting the opportunity. They're not even getting interviewed. And what people don't know is it's not like an interview, like a job where I call you in my office, we sit down. They hire firms to do background searches and all this stuff, just to nitpick every little thing, and then the firm will give you back the info for people, you may want to call and stuff like that. So we all black coaches come up in different environments. So it's a chance. Back in the day, they might have done something stupid. That may not be who they are now. That was when they were a child. But how much are you trying to bet that I think they hold that against them?
I mean, but it's easy, like you said. One of the things you said earlier was they're not wanting to relate to something. But at the same time, it's okay to have those people on staff because they're going to be able to relate to those top recruits in a way you can't.
That's my point. But you choose to relate to the players to come play for you and make money and stuff like that.
Like I said, it just doesn't make sense. The answer is quite obvious. Is right there, and that's why it's so frustrating. Because it doesn't make sense where you're good enough to literally do every part of the job.
Except for that. And I think one point that you made that I really agree with is that it makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It makes them uncomfortable. It's that they know deep down inside that we could and it's possible, but it just makes them uncomfortable. It's outside of their norm. They don't want to do it, and they feel like they shouldn't have to do it. And because they make them uncomfortable, they decide to stay away from it, and it's just not right.
And the saddest part is to their detriment more often than not.
Yeah.
Even after all that, I can't say that word, the stubbornness, it's to your detriment. You know what I'm saying? You shuffle the same faces through and through. Same faces are sometimes people are exactly what they are. And they keep getting multiple chances. They're not going to be different, all right? Sometimes, somebody's an under 500 coach. It's not going to change. That's who they are through and through. Some people aren't built to revive a program, to build a program. That's fine. But if your job is to go find the best person for that job, you're letting everyone down for your own personal reasons.
Yeah, look at Jerry Stackhouse. He's at Vanderbilt. My man had to go coach in the G League, come up to the ranks as assistant coach, then win a championship as a head coach, just to get an opportunity at the high major. Mm-hmm. And he's Jerry freaking Stackhouse, all-world, all-American high school, all-American in college. Averaged 30 in the league for years, man. Got a shit with the Mavs. He done did it all. What do we really talk? Play for Dean Smith. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. What are we
somebody else had those things on the resume, it would have stopped at the play for Dean Smith.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? It would have stopped there.
He's the Jordan of Oak Hill. He got that. Rod Strickland was first, but Stackhouse really, boom, where all the top recruits are. We going to Oak Hill. You see what I'm saying? So it's just, but he still had to pay his dues and wait. It's just, look at Patrick Ewing. It's man, look, we can go for
I felt like Pat was an assistant coach for like
top
20,
50, yeah. And
20 teams in the league.
And that's my point. So what if he didn't what if it wasn't his alma mater that needed a coach?
He probably doesn't have a chance. Like that's literally where we are right now. And before we get off this, and again, shout out to folks like Bruce Arians. Like one of the things I don't think people realize, and they've been doing this all year long with Tampa Bay and their offense and the numbers they've been putting up, right? Everyone keeps giving Arians credit. Byron Leftwich is running that offense. Byron Leftwich is Tampa Bay's coordinator. His first time doing this. And this is one of those reasons those things continue. This is not on Bruce, because Bruce is giving people opportunity to do their thing and he falls back. But this is on the lazy people that cover it and talk about it. Mm-hmm. That is Byron Leftwich's offense, all right? That's him doing that. Give the young man his credit. You put in your dudes and everything else, give them their credit. You got another wonderful guy on the chief staff, I think Eric Bieniemy. I'll probably mess up his name. That offense, you think it's coincident? It's not a knock on Andy Reid at all. That meant, like, sometimes when people are constants in these situations and things change, sometimes you got to look at the, at the constant and at the constants. But it's ridiculous. It's frustrating. It's just something that needs to change. And as we were just talking about this MVP thing, look at where it got some of these teams that might not ever get right because of decisions, right? Because of those decisions and feeling a certain type of way. People we just named, only one of them is a vet in this league, in Russ. The rest of them are kids.
It's because, I mean, and it's possibly the Kaepernick effect,
Maybe.
They don't the face of your franchise is a black face, man. And he's similar style to Kaepernick and all that. It's a lot of cowards in power, as Jadakiss would say, man, and they not willing to take that risk and put their job and livelihood on the line because it's gonna be an uproar from a certain type of demographic. That's
Yeah.
gonna be hard. Yeah, and
Yeah, and still-
they buy the tickets, and that's what it is. Like we see it. Just walk Maryland, Michigan. If you walk through the parking lot, what is the majority you
Man,
see?
look, I'm not even gonna get into that.
Okay.
Go ahead. What's next, man?
All right, last question before we get off. Atlanta Hawks forward John Collins was suspended without pay for 25 games earlier today for violating the terms of the NBPA anti-drug program. Collins tested positive for growth hormone releasing peptide 2. The league said the research has shown that growth hormone, for people that may not know what that is, has a host of beneficial effects, including decreased body fat, increased muscle mass, increased strength, improved stamina, improved fat burning, improved energy, improved sex drive and desire. I'm just giving you all the jobs. Improved skin and elasticity. Hey, I'm going down so people can understand what it's on. Aids in connective tissue repair post-injury. Yeah, if you get injured, improved quality of sleep, increased bone density, improved immune system, improved cholesterol profile. So
What's the negative in this?
the name, growth hormone releasing peptide 2. Chill out, Wilson.
No, I said the negative in this.
Oh.
I said no. I was. You read
I
off the
thought you
list.
say,
no, not the negative. I said the negatives in this.
Where I was
the
like,
negative.
where can I get some?
That was her asking.
Whoa,
I said the negative.
whoa.
I said the negatives.
Whoa.
I can't speak for her.
My Lord Jesus.
Man, I said negatives.
Lord Jesus.
That's her.
Thanks for coming on the Focus this week.
That'd be a good place there.
Like, who's
Nah.
your supplier, sir?
All I know is it's on that list now. People don't understand. They probably like, how they get caught now? People that don't know, if you've been in the NBA gym, practice gym, they have a big board.
Man.
I mean, big board of all banned substances. I'm looking at that thing. I like, man, I think I might get suspended right now walking in this joint. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, it's literally like hundreds of things that's banned. But regardless, all this recovery stuff, shakes and stuff that the players use and stuff, man, they got to be extra careful. It's hard for me to blame these guys because they don't know what the trainers are kind of putting in it. They just grabbing it and drinking it. You see it during games and stuff, but I mean, stuff like this is a no-no because it does give you an advantage. I just read off what it does, man. And if I'm getting tired in the fourth quarter, you still bouncing around, you strong as a mother, you got an advantage. And so they have to check all that.
Regenerative tissue part.
Yeah, you get hurt, you get hurt, you heal like Wolverine. Like, come on, man. I mean, no, you know. So
like I said, I was waiting for like the side effects, the negative things, the list.
Like I said.
I
was like, really?
Who is your supplier?
Like,
look,
really?
they just mad at them because just thinking the entire league was on there. It'd be crazy.
It'd be the Monstars versus the Monstars every night.
Exactly, man. It'd be crazy, but and he's already gifted athletically, so it's just unfortunate that has. But what are your thoughts on those? Just overall how it would affect the Hawks if he don't win this appeal, because he's a big piece, man.
Go ahead, I'll take it.
I mean, like you said, he's a huge piece. So he probably really wants to win this appeal. But, I mean, I see both sides of it. Number one, he's 22. He probably, unfortunately, don't pay attention to what they're taking. And a lot of times they're putting their trust in other people to help them,
Not to cut you off, just for everyday people, when you go eat fast food with a restaurant, you drink something, you don't know what they put in there and all the ingredients. You're not sitting at the label like,
you know what they're supposed to.
Yeah, you think
That's
you know.
faith, yeah.
Oh, it's chicken, but you don't know what's in that. Even when you buy it from the supermarket, you don't know what they're doing it for. So it's a lot. It could get anybody. So you could clearly see how players can get jammed up. Before I'd be like, man, why you come on, dog? But
it's not like it's a marijuana charge or something
something like that.
where you know exactly what this is.
No disrespect with DeAndre Ayton did, having basically taking water pills to try to flush out the system, because we all know what he was doing. Yeah. He was about to get caught up for smoking that weed, and he was trying to flush his system. So we know what that's about, man. So look, man, it is.
It's unfortunate, like I said, but I get both sides of it. It's because, like you say, it gives him an unfair advantage, in a game where everybody's supposed to be on at least some type of level playing field. You can't say like, I'm going to work harder than you, and try to get up one on you like that. But when it's using foreign substances that people aren't using, it's not fair. So I see both sides of it. I would be interested in how, like, the story behind how it actually got in his system, if he knows, if he doesn't know. I'm sure that's something that will be discussed in the appeal because, I mean, why else would you be doing an appeal? But it's definitely very, very unfortunate. And it's even more unfortunate that this happens every year. Every year we pretty much hear about somebody, whether it's in the NBA, the NFL, ended up taking something that they didn't know had a banned substance in it, and maybe they weren't taking it for those reasons, but because it was in it, it affects them. Like the whole Golden State situation. Apparently he was taking something for fertility, for him and his wife to try to have a baby, but it had a banned substance in it, and that's how he got banned for 4 games this year. You know, so it's definitely unfortunate, but it kind of puts it back on the player to be more aware of what you put in your body. You know, people talk about, like I said, I just feel like a lot of times that they're depending on these certain people to have their best interests, and to not get them jammed up in a situation like this. And I do feel like most of the times it's probably not that person's like ill intentions to do that, but things get overlooked all the time. You know, you kind of, and you, it sucks, but you have to be held accountable for situations like this. It's just it sucks for him. That's kind of sad.
It's part of growing pains, right? Get jammed up. Hopefully now, like you guys were talking about the person, whoever it is, you'll probably be kind of checking behind them going forward about or having new people. Yeah.
I'm going right to the pool.
Or that person's gonna have a not them handing you stuff from here on out. But you know, it's unfortunate. We'll see what happens with the appeal. But from a basketball standpoint, that's a huge blow to them, man. That class they had last year that came in together. The last couple classes they had, because I think John came in before them, right? Yeah, John came in
he was first, and then Trey came.
Then Trey. So that you know, part of their core right there. He's a huge piece. Last year we saw him kind of expand his game a little bit. It's gonna hurt. It's just gonna hurt for a while. Hopefully they're able to, you know, not only tread water but hold the fort down while he's going. But
I think they will. Jabari with them, right?
Jabari's
him. And then you drafted Bruno. Yeah, you know, he just.
Yeah, just gotta get acclimated real quick.
But I mean, that's what that is. But if nobody had anything else, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. We truly appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, right here on the Focus TV.